So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We are so happy to have you here and we're so proud of all of you guys. So happy that you completed your final semester and you're ready to graduate, and you graduated in one of the worst and most trying times in our recent history. So we really appreciate that, and congratulations. You deserve it. And first, I do want to start by reading our land acknowledgement so we can start things off right, to really be able to acknowledge the people whose lands we reside on. So acknowledging that we reside in the homelands of Indigenous peoples is an important step in recognizing the history and the original stewards of these lands. Land acknowledgements must extend far beyond words, for the United States has worked hard to erase the narratives of Indigenous people over time. Land acknowledgement statements can help to remind us of the history and the contributions and the sacrifices Native peoples have made. We honor and acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute nations. This area, specifically the confluence of the Platte and Cherry Creek rivers, was the epicenter for trade, information sharing, planning for the future, community, family, and ally building, as well as conducting healing ceremonies for over 45 Indigenous nations, including the Lakota, Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, Shoshone, Pioate, Zuni, Hopi, among others. We must recognize Indigenous peoples as the original stewards of this land, and as these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, remember the ties these nations still have to their traditional homelands. Let us acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this territory, and pay our respect to the diverse Indigenous peoples still connected to this land. Let us also give thanks to all the tribal nations and the ancestors of this place. Thank you. And now I welcome Susie Q. Smith.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm very, very excited to be with you. I, too, am actually a graduate of the University of Colorado at Denver, and also the December ceremony. I graduated high school and undergrad in December, so I know that that season can be challenging. People trying to find you graduation cards in December. People forget that it's graduation season, and in the midst of all of the holidays, and you're doing it in 2020. So I'm so, so happy for every single one of you, for everything that you have accomplished, and you have so much to be proud of. And so I'm really excited to be here tonight. I love speaking at graduations, but getting to speak at a place where I just graduated a few years ago is very exciting. It's even that much more of a privilege. So I'm very, very pleased to be here. Thank you. So I wanted to begin with a short poem that is not one of mine, but it was what I had printed on my graduation invitations when I finished at the University of Colorado at Denver. And so this is a poem that was written by Lucille Clifton. It's one of my all-time favorites. And this was what I had engraved there. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman, what did I see to be except myself? I made it up. Here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and failed. So rather a chipper poem. And that is my version of optimism, and one of those things that keeps me moving forward all the time, every day. And that's how I felt graduating, for sure. And I hope that you are feeling that same level of pride and relief and determination. So I want to read one of mine that is an invocation of sorts. And this is something I call dark humor. You know how my hips have never forgotten the drum. You know the way my voice sounds like a conjured grandmother. You know how I write poems like invocations, right? You know how my spirit never sleeps, how we laugh at our own temporary blood. And oh, sweet Lord, how we laugh, how buckets of glass leap from our heads, thrown back and open, how we spill sharp, choking out the swallowed stingers, how we dance until our feet blister and open, knowing the stains will tell the story of our movement. We super magic, we beloved immortal, even our echoes got knuckles. Listen, in the canyons, over the ocean crashing, our ancestors stay chanting, we in here. We still here. We've been here. We stay here. We survived. We survived. We survived. And I like that poem, To Call the Ancestors into this space. And this one is more specifically to you, the graduates. And I'll begin it with a quote from Audre Lorde, in which she says, "If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive." You were born with a song and a story within you that will unfold as you continue along your path. Listen for it, say it out loud. There is no voice more important than yours. The truth of your experience and your unique wisdom are urgent enough to change the world. Hold your head square and steady as you leap toward the uncertain future. This is where you find your courage. It is buried beneath your fears. When I was younger, I found myself seeking some representation of myself in the world, something that gave me permission to exist. I did not find it, so I knew I would have to create it. You too are creators. Never let them forget. You are the miracle of stardust and breath. Of course, the world is yours. Dream for yourself a world that you can live in, where your own innate spirit can dance, laugh, and be celebrated, for there is a great deal of joy on the journey ahead. And as we all know, joy needs plenty of sunlight and room to grow. I do not know where your journeys will lead you. Neither do you. Neither of us needs to apologize. You do not need to know all of the answers today, only be willing to seek them. They are waiting for you. Remember how many people it has taken to make you, and know that your mighty roots will keep you. They will unfold into pulp and honey when you need to be nourished. Your own magnificent history will hold you upright. One day, the song of your name will raise the sun in a choir of swallows. You deserve this, our most courageous future. Let the world fall in love with the gift of your smile, rich and fertile as a new note sung clear, open as a Colorado sky. On this journey of becoming yourself, remember the mighty place that made you unbreakable. Remember that the only person qualified to define you is you. In fact, it is your responsibility to do so. When you feel yourself being folded into small or quiet, remember that you are hammer and pickaxe. You are too important to be swallowed into silence. And while you are becoming your own story, your own song, sing, speak, shout. Do not let the words buried in you be buried with you. The world is waiting to sing your name.
That was absolutely beautiful. I have no words. All right. And thank you so much, Susie. That was amazing. Now we're going to move on to the invocation with Kimberly Williams. Snap, snap is right. I feel like I'm in a slam poet room. See, Kimberly, are you there?
That's all right. I will do it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Donalyn.
No worries. It's an honor. Heavenly Father, it is just an honor to come to you today, asking for you to bless this graduation ceremony, Heavenly Father. These are your children that you have ordained and preserved for this special time, Heavenly Father. You have walked with them and helped them to persevere through all adversity. And in the midst of this pandemic, they have completed their journey at MSU Denver and the University of Colorado at Denver. So we thank you for all that you have done. We are grateful for your blessings. We honor you. We acknowledge your presence in this ceremony. And we ask that you bless everyone and their families and loved ones. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Figured out. We want to be.
All right. So I think now I'm ready to move on to the institutional welcome. We're going to have Sarah Anderson, MSW for CU Denver. And then we're going to have Dr. Michael Benitez Jr. for MSU Denver. And you guys can start whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of CFU Denver's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, CU Denver's Black Student Services, CU Denver's Black Staff and Faculty Affinity Group, MSU Denver's African and African American Affairs Council, and MSU Denver's Department of Africana Studies, we welcome you to the Fall 2020 Black, African American virtual celebration. My name is Sarah D. Anderson. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I currently serve as the interim assistant vice chancellor for programming and training at CU Denver's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I was asked to speak with you all for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I am so honored and humbled to be one of the speakers you will hear from this evening. Before I get started, I would like for us to just take a moment of silence, a moment to pause and take a few collective breaths together as a community, a moment to reflect on all that it has taken for us to get to this very moment. We are so consumed with the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Rarely do we take a moment to pause and reflect, pause and appreciate, or to pause and remember just how far we have come. Join me as I take this moment of silence. Thank you. Students, we are here to celebrate you. Your families, friends, loved ones, mentors, faculty, staff, and peers are here to commemorate, reaffirm, and salute you on achieving such a huge milestone. A milestone that may seem uncommon and easy, but is very uncommon and difficult to achieve. The theme for our evening together is Akobin, a call to action, being prepared, ready to serve, and protect our community. When I received the information around this theme, I'll be honest, I had to look it up. I had to educate myself on what Akobin meant. And here's what I was able to research and find. Akobin, it's an ancient West African Adinkra symbol, signifying a call to serve and struggle for the community. The Akobin is actually a war horn and is used to summon and alert warriors of an incoming battle. The horn itself signaled a battle cry. The Akobin is a symbol of vigilance, readiness, and volunteerism. Now, I said to myself when researching this, oh, they're not playing. They want us to equip our future leaders with readiness and action. And in the spirit of that, I'm going to spend the next few minutes of my time with you all, getting you prepared and ready to protect and serve our community. When I think about vigilance and the resilience of this graduating class, I'm reminded of the Akobin. The year 2020 seemed to start out as what we were to call the year of 2020 vision, a year that was metaphorically supposed to be the best year yet, a year full of possibilities, endless amounts of success, joy, and happiness. When we began this year, we had huge losses in the sports and entertainment industry, and then within the third month, we found our nation in the middle of a global pandemic. Now, while the outside world seemed to be completely chaotic, some of us were also experiencing hardships and turmoil at home. To say that we expected to be where we are today in our current state would be inaccurate. We absolutely had no idea what our eyes would see. What came at us like a thief in the night, a silent enemy, sparked a war against humankind with the intensity none of us prepared for. This war we have been in constant battle with has at times felt like we were losing. It means that we've had to watch as our counterparts exercised pandemic privilege. We had to face another blow that disproportionately affects us and our people at alarming rates. Our families, our loved ones, and sometimes our backbones. It means that we had to decide between being an essential employee and staying at home for the safety of our loved ones. It means that we had to grapple with the reality of living paycheck to paycheck and the fear of not having employment. It means having to choose if you can take on a full course load or if you had to pick up additional responsibilities just to make ends meet. For some of us, it meant being isolated and away from those we love. It meant being alone. For others, we may even have to say goodbye permanently because of this vicious virus and the lives of our people that it has taken at alarming rates. We may have lost a lot, but the will to proceed in the face of COVID has built a character in each of you that no course can teach. And if that weren't enough, we as a people still had to grapple with the systems being systematically set up against us, sometimes resulting in multiple unarmed Black bodies being murdered at the hands of law enforcement. Some of us watched and some of us participated in national demonstrations, marching for our Black bodies. Some of us swallowed the saltiness of the earth's vibrations from all of its occupants, fearing our mere existence. And if that weren't enough, we survived an election cycle, a cycle riddled with propaganda and rhetoric that felt similar to Jim Crow era, an election cycle that for some felt heavy and surreal. A cycle that fueled a sense of urgency to be involved in policies and civil rights. We had to fight to merely exist and survive. Daily, we had to verbalize why our lives mattered. So class of 2020, when I think about this year and this year alone, I have to sit back and pause. For the last 9 months has only ignited a readiness for us to be called to action that has reinforced our resiliency. Here's what I already know about us. Our ancestors were born out of resilience. No matter if we identify as Black, African, African American, Afro-Caribbean, biracial, multiracial, etc., resiliency runs through our veins. We are resilient to the very definition. Resilience has never been a choice for us. In the midst of being enslaved, captured, and surviving colonization, we are still here. In the midst of a global pandemic and unlawful murders, we persist. When resources are stripped and the tunnels seem dark, we prevail and come out stronger. No matter what has been thrown at us historically and currently, we rise and stand. We are rooted people. We are strength, brilliance, and beauty in every form. And that is why we are so misunderstood. That is why we are considered threats. People cannot understand how you can literally throw mountains at a body of people and watch them make villages and lands of prosperity. As I reiterate and remind you of who you are, who we are as a people, and what we have survived and what we are capable of, I also need to prepare you. For life will give you lemons, and it is up to you to determine what to make out of them. If 2020 taught us one thing, it is to remain open-minded and flexible. For you can plan, but it can only go so far. Life happens and will continue to happen. My question to you is, when things don't go as planned and life happens, how does your character reveal itself? I would like to share a few drops of wisdom that have been poured into my cup by mentors, matriarchs, and close colleagues. Number 1, rest. View rest as an act of self-preservation. In the words of my late Granny Helen, a candle burning at both ends does not last through the night. I want you to constantly think about this. Now, this is not to excuse that rest is sometimes or has often been constructed to be a privilege for us, but I want you to reframe and rethink that. We deserve rest. We deserve to unplug. Our very existence is dependent upon the ability to rejuvenate our bodies whenever possible. Now, this is not to say that rest requires participating in forms of self-care that are rooted in white supremacy and privilege, but that you should always be in tune with yourself and making sure that you are filling your bucket before emptying it out to the benefit of others. Number 2, stay in the company of joy. It is vital that you have something that brings you joy. As a society, we have taken away the pure enjoyment of having a hobby. We're socialized to think that you have to grind 24/7 to always have extra forms of income and to be in this constant state of going, like the Energizer Bunny. I encourage you to find something that brings you joy and pleasure. This will be super important in moments when everything seems to be falling apart, both personally and professionally. Have this joy be something special, something for you specifically, that is not dependent on others' approval, but that truly satisfies you to your core depths of your soul. Oftentimes, as we progress through our careers and through life as adults, we forget our childlike souls. We start becoming less of who we wanted to be and more of who the world told us we should be. So find something that brings you joy. Number 3, keep stock of the company you keep. Granny Helen used to say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Find yourself, a person or persons, a sense of community, someone that you can call at the midnight hour to bounce ideas off of and gain different perspectives, someone to keep it funky with you, and I mean all the way funky, and someone to hold you accountable. Because believe me, there will be plenty of times where you feel like you are not competent. People will undermine you. People will make you feel as though you are not enough, and you will question your magic, your brilliance, and your purpose. Get you a person that will reaffirm you, to remind you of who you are and whose you are, so that when you get distracted or knocked off of your course, they will help realign you to your mission and purpose. And finally, number 4, lift and climb. There's a saying amongst my sisterhood that keeps me grounded and reminds me of my why. As you progress, succeed, and knock down barriers, be sure that you're constantly looking behind you to lift others up. Climb and lift and climb. The moment you forget to lift and continue to only climb, you will find yourself alone and without agency. And trust me, it is lonely at the top. Never forget where you came from, and keep the spirit of community at the forefront of everything that you do. How are you ensuring that the work you are doing will benefit those that need it the most? So graduates, here is your charge and call to action. Imagine the sound of the akobin. Hear its sound in distinct melody. Hear the vibrations of the horn through your body. Feel the earth tremble beneath your feet. We at CU Denver and MSU Denver are firing up the sky with its roar. We are preparing you and getting you ready for battle. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Hear the horn, hear the call. Your ancestors are summoning you. Your families, friends, and loved ones are blowing that horn. Don't let their breath go to waste. Diligence is the thread that weaves your gowns together. Your intelligence is a battle cry on society, and your degree is letting them know that you are more than prepared to fight transgressively. You are equipped with the strength of the masses as you further the fight to make spaces and create rooms for students who look like you, for students who will come after you. Your work knows no limits. Your fight knows no constraints. You have done what they said we could never do, and then some. Against adversity, you stood strong. You looked in the mirror and reminded yourself that it's not on you, it's in you. And that is something no one can take away. Hear the sound, answer the call. Now is the time, this is the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was absolutely beautiful. And that all of that is what we needed to hear. Like, especially the lift and climb thing, we cannot forget to lift up our fellow brothers and sisters during this time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, go right ahead, Michael, whenever you're ready.
All right. Wow. So, first of all, thank you, Sarah, for those words, and, Susie for that fly poetry. It's how can y'all make me go after such amazing folks? It's gonna make it hard for me. So first, let me just begin. Usawe Yuguatiao Diri Mike Benitez of Afro-Taino descent and son of the land of Borinquen. To all, good evening. I am Mike Benitez, the Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion at MSU Denver, or as I like to refer to it, if you've not heard me reference before, the Office of Decolonizing Affairs, or at least we keep dreaming about what structures of liberation can truly look like. On behalf of Metropolitan State University of Denver, the Community College of Denver, and University of Denver, Colorado, I would like to welcome all faculty, students, staff, alumni, and community members from near and far to this year's Black Graduate Ceremony. So first, congratulations to all the graduates. This is such an important moment in your life. The students who are soon to go out there and show the world what they've been waiting for. So to you all, congratulations. I also want to acknowledge in this how significant a moment this is for the families and the community that have supported all of you and continue to support you along your journey. For the day-to-day struggle that we sustain, so as to live our ancestors' dreams, to honor our present achievements, and for the generations ahead of us that we don't know yet that will be taken over soon. We are that space between God and earth. As I welcome you all to today's graduation ceremony to celebrate more than 100 Black graduate students at MSU Denver and the many graduating students at CCD and CU Denver, I am reminded that this event in itself is a call to action. The very celebration of the success of Black students in itself offers a glimpse of what pushing forward and resistance looks like. Here we are in land colonized and eventually remodeled into different forms, into ways that weren't meant necessarily for us, but that we never lost sight of what this looks like, what these spaces look like. This is our lands. This is our ways of engaging. These spaces in itself are the resistance and the key to a future of upliftment for our communities. It is building on the block, and it is a building block on the legacy of persons like Rachel B. Noel, a fierce advocate and champion for integration and equity for Denver's Black communities and equality and equity for all communities. It is a building block on the legacy of our recently late Professor Emeritus Wilton Fleming, who dedicated his career to transforming education and was a tireless advocate for BIPOC students and faculty at MSU Denver. Recently, we also initiated our first ever John Lewis lecture, not only in honor of Mr. Lewis, but in honor of how we can learn from the legacy, his legacy, and the legacy of Black freedom struggle movements that are grounded in community, that are grounded in the civil rights, that are grounded in historical struggles of resistance. You see, a call to action to be prepared and ready to serve and protect our community is a righteous theme, not only during these times of COVID, not only during these times of economic hardship, but as I like to say, for the very rest of our lives. I recall in 2008 when we had that recession, and I was ready to actually go on to do my PhD in Iowa. Yes, I said it, Iowa. And everybody kept looking at me like saying, what, Mike? Folks are losing their jobs, and we're hitting this recession, and you're leaving your job to pursue graduate studies to get your PhD. They looked at me like there was something wrong with me. And the more I heard that, the more I said, wow, here's my life. I've never really pictured life outside of a recession. We've always had to struggle. We've always had to fight. We've never had that privilege to really lay back and figure out what life is going to look like. We've always had to be attentive to that next step, attentive to the action that we will take in our communities, attentive to our communities themselves. And here at MSU Denver, part of our identity is assuring that our students are engaged with and serving their respective communities. As an institution, we've had a long-standing a space in Africana studies going back 50 years, and we empower our students to be action-oriented and be ready to respond to society's most pressing issues and the moments. This graduation ceremony in itself, to all of you out there, is resistance. It is a call to action. It is a roadmap, but with the tools that make us ready to reclaim our spaces. And if you haven't heard me say this before, I always like to say this because it's really how I think of our communities. I always put myself in conversation with Audre Lorde, the phenomenal Audre Lorde and late Audre Lorde, who said that we can't dismantle the slave master's household with the slave master's tools. And you see, I have a tough time thinking about that because to me, the houses we fill, the work and labor we've put in, the constant energy and emotion and radical love that we put into life from the day we're born, through school, through our graduation and studies, into the workforce and to the communities, those are our tools. And so it's no wonder that when we step into the spaces that are not necessarily made for us and for us to thrive in, that we still find it. We still have the ability to not only thrive, but to actually know how to use those tools better than the supposed masters themselves. So I ask for you to step into your lives, not with a sense of how to belong, but with the sense of how to reclaim what is ours, with a sense of really owning the knowledge and the spaces that make us who we are, all our very particular experiences. Own your resiliency, own what's yours. Don't seek to belong, but to reclaim. Lean on your community. Uplift your community. Lean on your families. Trust your community. Remain attentive to the silent voice that guides you. And I want to end on this note as I welcome everyone and I offer some particular words. One of my favorite quotes comes from Bell Hooks. And quote, she says, sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power. Not because they don't see it, but because they see it and they don't want it to exist. And I want us to sit with that in particular. The power that we have collectively, the power that we have in everything that we do, the brilliance of who we are as a people. And I ask you to step into that power moving forward. So to all the graduates, congratulations. I appreciate everything you all do, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you move forward and you look to not only take action, but to reclaim and step into your respective communities with a sense of brilliance and knowing the power that you are. Again, congratulations, class of 2020.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Benitez, and really, really appreciate that story as well about you going to get your PhD right after the financial crisis. I know a lot of you guys are going to be moving on to hopefully higher education after this. Maybe that's graduate school, maybe that's getting your doctorate, et cetera, et cetera. And we just, like you said, he's got to step into your power and do what you can do as a person. Be the best that you can be. And now we're going to move on to our words of encouragement. And for this, we have Omar Montgomery, Donalyn Jones, and Dr. Douglas Mpandi. Hope I pronounced that right.
It's all good.
Is it me first? I'll go.
Yeah, go right ahead, Omar.
First, just want to congratulate all of the graduates and thank you for your patience and your resiliency in getting through this degree. As we come up on the holiday season, I always think about our 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Principals alive at Metro and at CU Denver, who fought the university to make sure that we had resources for this graduation right here. We stand on his shoulders and the shoulders of those that fought with him to celebrate your resilience to get where we are. Enjoy your day and enjoy your celebration.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
On behalf of the African American Affairs Council at MSU Denver, I'm excited to welcome and to congratulate our graduates for their accomplishments, for their perseverance. As Sarah eloquently spoke, the Akobin is a beautiful instrument that calls warriors into battle. And so we thank you for your courage to, when others stepped away from their education, you leaned into your education. And so it takes courage because your dreams, your goals, your family, your community are that important. So we congratulate you. We salute you. We thank your family, your friend, the faculty and staff at both institutions for just all that they've done to support you in this milestone. Thank you. Congratulations, graduates. And I'm turning this over to the co-chair of the council, Dr. Douglas Mpandi.
Thank you, Donalyn. On behalf of the African American Council and the Africana Studies Department at Metro State University of Denver, I say congratulations to the class of 2020. It was so inspiring listening to earlier speakers. I don't have much to say, but I'm impressed with the sense of community that we have to celebrate the best in our community. So we can only prosper when we're united. And this is something that is encouraging to see us, even during these difficult times, to say, even if it's difficult, but we have to celebrate. That's how we are. That's how we have been. So I'd like to say thank you to all the families that helped our graduates to see through these difficult times. And as always, it's Wakanda forever. Thank you.
Ashe.
Ashe, thank you so much, Douglas. That was awesome. All right. Thank you guys all for your kind words of wisdom. And now we're going to move on to the Black National Anthem, which will be sung by Denisha Heron.
Congratulations to the graduates. Can you all hear my music?
Yep, I think we can hear you.
And you can snap or clap if you'd like to. Join along, you can do that too. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with the steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast bound our mind, let us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. hearts drunk with the wine of the world we forget thee. Shadow beneath thine hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Woo!
That was beautiful. I felt like I was in church. Thank you so much, Denisha. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
All right, and now we're going to move on to our keynote speaker, Dr. Ryan Ross.
So, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I got invited to a graduation and I haven't heard any noise yet. So what I need y'all to do is to come up off of that mute, unclick it. I need y'all to make some noise. We can do better than that. I need to hear y'all. Let's act like y'all.
Let me open my face. Let them see me.
Congratulations! Yeah, there we go. Now I'm starting to feel like it. You know what I mean? This is the first meeting that I've been on today virtually where I don't feel like a raisin in a bowl of milk. It's time to get loose. That's right. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. First and foremost, I kind of have to remix my remarks because what's so dope about tonight is that you've heard from Omar, you've heard from Sarah, you've heard from Susie, you've heard from Dr. You've heard from Michael, you've heard from page. You've heard from everybody, and I feel like there's nothing left to say because it's already tough to come tell you guys something of value. I mean, how do you tell folks who are the resilient ones, people who are like diamonds, right? Because you have put time and pressure to get to this point, and so now you're diamonds and you're shining. So what is it that I can say of value in this moment? And then all these dope people came before me and stole everything I had to say. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? But the marathon continues, and I'm reminded of words from one of my favorite philosophers, the late great Nipsey Hussle, right? He said, the last time that I checked, 5 chains on my neck, there's no smut on my rap, right? And I think about that, and I think about you guys. I think about how dope you are. Like, this is what you do. Black boy joy, right? Black girl magic. Like, this is what you do. It's in your DNA. Like, it's been a rough year. We've all had some trials and tribulations, but you're here. And you're here in spite of 2 pandemics. You're here in spite of virtual education. You're here in spite of having to manage parenthood and teacherhood and educationhood and everything else in the hood. You're here. It's because you're dope. Now, I know that, and Omar was very clear with me, because sometimes I get the feeling and it just kind of goes. And he told me that I had one objective tonight, and that was to be brief, brother, be brief. And I know that people have finals, people need to eat, and so I'm gonna do my best to honor that. But I'm excited. I get to speak all over, and I do a lot of different stuff, but there's no better place than speaking with my people. People who are dope, people who I know what you've been through, because I've been there. I've been sitting in this seat, thinking about what was next, thinking about how dope am I really? Am I really dope enough? And the answer is yes, you are. You're the dopest, and you need to remind yourself of that. But when thinking about the theme, right? Preparing, taking care of your community, all those things, the one thing that I think I can add to this conversation tonight is just a couple things, actually. I'm gonna challenge you to commit to making your life your leadership and your leadership your life, right? Because we are in the middle of an attack on excellence. There's an attack on real leadership, right? And it's up to you to answer that call. So I'm going to ask you to make your life your leadership and your leadership your life. I'm going to tell you a story that not changed my life, but, you know, just helped me get some perspective. And it's something that I'll never forget. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to offer a suggestion. And man, this is higher education. I'm going to give you a test, right? And then I hopefully all of this will end with a small gift, right? So let's just jump out with the test first, right? So you don't have to write this down, but I just want you to see if you can name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. Okay, that's question 1. Question 2 is name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. Question 3, name the last 5 Miss America winners. Hell, the Miss Colorado winners. Name all the African American mayors that Colorado has had. Name the last 5 Nobel Peace Prize winners. Let you sit on that for just a second. How many of you guys got all of those right? It's okay, it's cool. Because see, those are tremendous leaders and they've accomplished amazing things. And it can be argued that they're the best in their respective fields. You see, these are amazing feats. But nobody remembers the headlines of yesterday, right? When I'm gone, when I'm no longer here, they're not gonna say, oh, there goes their lives, Ryan Ross, he won 40 under 40 before he was 30. You know, when it comes to him, he's got racks on racks on racks. You know what I mean? When you see him, them rims, they 10s, but they clean though, right? That's not what people are gonna remember. You see, when you're making your life, your leadership and your leadership, your life, when you're really showing up for community, it's not gonna be about having $1 billion company or $1 million or 6-figure income. It's not about having the sexiest title. It's not gonna be about a coveted credit score. Contrary to popular belief, leadership is it's not about the limelight. It's not about being featured in Denver Post or being on the Brother Jeff show. It's not about getting the awards. You see, I dropped by to remind you that when you're making your life your leadership and your leadership your life, it's about being agents of change, right? It's about making a difference. It's about breaking the stereotypes. It's about doing the right things because of who you are and not because who's watching. It's about abandoning deficit thinking and adapting the do or do not attitude that Yoda teaches us, right? There is no try. You don't try to do anything. You do it. That's why you're here today, because that's what you did. You got up whenever you started your journey. Maybe it's 3 years ago, maybe it's 4 years ago, maybe it's even more, but you was like, this is what I'm about to go do. I'm about to go become a graduate. I'm about to take my education to the next level. I'm about to pay the cost to be the boss. You see, it's about believing that with your leadership, there's no limitations. That's what this thing is really about. Your leadership knows no limitation. Now, maybe you've heard differently because there's a lot of flawed and hypocritical narratives out there that would say the mathematics of your life, the mathematics of my life say we shouldn't be in these seats. The mathematics of our life say we should be some of the statistics that they try to cram down our throats. The mathematics of our life should say we should be, you know, the 45% of folks who don't graduate. Well, what about the other 55%? Because we know no limitations. Part 2 of our test. I want you to close your eyes and think about this. Name a teacher or mentor who's aided you in your journey. Name 3 friends who've helped you through a difficult time. Name 5 people who've taught you something worthwhile. Name a couple of people who've made you feel special. Name a couple of people who have stories that have inspired you to push on. How many of you guys passed that test? Right, 100%. You see, the lesson is simple. Making your life your leadership, and your leadership your life is about the love you give and the love you share. It's about the reciprocal relationship of grace and understanding that excellence is not perfection. So many times we're worried about being perfect, but we forget that we're just striving to be excellent. Like I mentioned earlier, this isn't about the kind of, you're not going to be remembered for the kind of car you drive. You're not going to remember for your perfect GPA. Most people aren't even going to know it. But what will be remembered from this day forward is the manner of person you are, the impact that you've placed on the life of others. Your friend's going to remember the encouraging words you offered when it seemed like the world was on their shoulders. The community's going to remember your actions that inspired them and your words that became their voice when some of them didn't have one. The strangers are going to remember your unexpected involvement at that critical moment in their life. Something that you might forget, but something that literally may have saved theirs. You know, as an educator and a speaker and being involved in the community, I've had the opportunity to travel quite extensively and do a lot of really cool stuff. And on one trip early in my career, I was in Washington, D.C., and I was working for TRIO programs at the time, and I was going to a COE board meeting, the Council for Opportunity and Education, and that's really not the point of this story. But while I was there, for those who know me, they know I'm into clothes and shoes. I'm a sneakerhead. I love sneakers. And so I was like, I got to get to Georgetown to check out this shoe store. I wanted to get these Air Maxes. And so, you know, I dip away from the meeting. I get to Georgetown. I'm looking for the store, and I see this other store, and it's got, you know, some bow ties and some dresses and all this kind of thing. So I pop in there real quick. And as I'm in there, I'm looking at some of the bow ties, and I'm kind of hanging out, just vibing out on the fashion. And I look over to the front door, and I see this homeless lady, and she's just kind of window shopping. Now, for many people, she might be an eyesore for a business. And so I'm watching her, and I'm looking at who looks like the owner of the store. He's looking at her. And so now I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at him, and I see him go towards the door, and I'm like, oh, nah, man, like he's about to like totally diss this lady. And so I start moving towards the door because I'm going to intervene, because I'm just not going to let it go down like that. And he gets outside, and he invites the lady in. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not this narrative. That's not what happens in these situations. Let me sit back. So he invites her in, and he says, hey, you've been looking at this dress for like 45 minutes. Do you want to try it on? I looked at him like he was crazy. She looked at him like he was crazy. And she said, sir, you do realize I can't afford this dress. He said, well, maybe not today, but you've been looking at it. So do you want to try it on? So she's kind of reluctant. I'm like, oh, see, this is how they get us. He about to, don't put that dress on, girl. You put that dress on, he's gonna say you stole it. Don't do it. And so she reluctantly tries this dress on. She tries it on. He says, how does it feel? She said, it feels great. Thank you. And she turns to him and she says, one day I'm gonna come back and buy this dress. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa. And I'm in my 20s at this point. I'm like, yo, this is bananas. Like, wow. So she takes the dress off. He walks her out. She goes about her business. He looks over to the other person who's working there, and he says, hey, go ahead and get rid of this dress. And the dude was like, well, why are you gonna do that? Why didn't you just give it to her? You just throw it away? And he said, here's the deal. She wasn't looking for a handout. She was looking for a helping hand. Right? And in my journey, I've recognized that being poor means passing over opportunities repeatedly. passing over opportunities repeatedly. And I'm never gonna pass up an opportunity to help someone. You see, what I did was I just gave her a vision. I let her see herself in that mirror for who she actually was, not for what her current condition is. It blew my mind. I was sitting there like, yo, this was just a master's class in like 15 minutes. And what I took away from that and what I want to share with you guys is this. It's not about how you start. It's not about where you're at. It's about the vision that you create for the manner of person you want to be moving forward. When it comes to the community, it's not about what the condition of the current community. It's about the impact that you can add to it by extending a helping hand. This is what we have to do with our leadership. It made me think about Euripides, the ancient Greeks, and it's called Kairos, and it means the one who seizes the helm of fate forces fortune. And what that means is you literally create your fortune when you decide to go do it, when you decide to activate. And so as you begin to protect the community with everything that you have, your education and all that's in you, it's the actions that you're going to take moving forward. As leaders, you're going to have the opportunity to self-actualize into what it is you've been dreaming. You are manifesting who it is that you're going to be. This education is but a small part of your journey. It's a place where you stop to sharpen your skills and meet a few good people along the way. It's a place where you got to see some different things and have some different experiences. It's where you learn to make your life your leadership, and your leadership your life. So, some advice. I think the best advice there is comes from Muhammad Ali, and it's to talk great to yourself. Here is a guy who many may have called arrogant, but he was the champion. And he was not only the champion of the world, he was the people's champion. Because he set forth an example of letting himself know and convincing himself and falling in love with himself to the point that there was nothing he couldn't do, because his leadership was limitless. So when he got into the ring, all people experienced was months of him telling himself, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, that I'm so pretty, you're not gonna hit me, or however it went. But he came out of those fights ready to go to the club if that's what he was gonna do, or to the mosque, and the opponent was on the ground, because that's what he manifested in his mind. And that's what we're asking you to manifest with your leadership, the greatness that you have within you to become. And so lastly, I think I said I was going to give you a gift. So here's something I learned along the way. Point to your head. I can't see everybody, but try to point to your head, right? So this is a beautiful thing. You've used it to get to this point. You're getting your degrees, you're passing your tests. This is where logic is. Like, this is amazing, right? However, understand that this is secondary to your heart. When you lead with your heart and use it to activate your brain, you will be able to not only accomplish the physical things that you want to manifest and get the things that you want to live comfortably, but you're going to create unlimited grace and empathy. The secret sauce to success, the secret sauce to building a community, the secret sauce to showing up for people when they're not able to show up for themselves. It's going to give you the energy to keep on going when you feel like you have nothing left. It's going to power up that chi, that spirit, whatever it is you believe. That's what this is about. That's what this celebration is. It's celebrating not only your dopeness, but your commitment to actualizing your greatness from this day forward. So with that being said, thank you for allowing me to be in this space Thank you to the elders who've allowed me the opportunity to learn and share. And most importantly, congratulations to all of you. You guys are dope last time that I checked. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. That was amazing. And I also do want to say, I think you won the award tonight for the best background. That is on point. All right, and now we're going to move on to libations with Elton Clark.
Good evening, family. How's everyone doing? That was a question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good.
Excellent. I love celebrating our people, our graduates that are coming up and getting ready to spread their wings and become all they could be. To the brothers that are graduating, congratulations on not being in jail, earning an education, and not getting shot. To the sisters, continue to be the backbone of America. Enjoy and be well. Tonight, I'm gonna talk to you about libations. A little bit more schooling. Why do we do libations, and where does it originate from, and how we are going to honor our ancestors, the shoulders that we stand on, the people who have lived and died for and sacrificed for you to be where you are today. A libation is a ritual pouring of a liquid as an offering to a god or spirit, or in the memory of those who have died, a sacred covenants between material and spiritual worlds. It was common in many religions of antiquity and continues to be offered in various cultures of today. The rituals vary from culture to culture according to the context and purpose, but libations are usually poured to those beings that are somehow connected to us, whether through bloodlines, apprenticeships, legacy, love, friendship, or through spiritual union. Libations is also given to the important element of a living energies and make up the fiber in our universe, such as these rivers, forests, or animal kingdom. At the start of any function, it is usually customary in African traditions to always remember the wisdom of ancestors whose footprints we stand today. I would like you to put in your comments, in the comments section, those people who have inspired you, those who have preceded you and allowed you to be who you are today. I'd like to introduce Dr. Ellen Marie. She will continue the libation celebration.
it is crucial, it is imperative that we create a space from the inside out where our foremothers, our forefathers can celebrate with us. All the while, graduates, that you have been walking, your foremothers and your forefathers have been bearing witness to the way in which you have given birth to yourself. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams. You are a possibility for the Black future that goes beyond what we could ever imagine in this moment. And so this evening, we come together knowing that we are one as a people. And we say, Ashe. We come together keenly aware that we have profound gifts to offer humanity. And we say, Ashe. We come together this very evening knowing that our ancestors are dancing because we are here. And we say, Ashe. Class of 2020, you are a profound example of what it means to be remarkable. We say, Ashe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ella Maria. And I think that's all for the libations. So now we're actually going to move on to graduate remarks if anybody wants to speak.
So usually during this portion, the graduates can actually honor those individuals that have supported them. If you want to do like special shout outs to your family members or just talk a little bit about your journey, this is an opportunity for you all to do that.
Well, I will go first. I will give for starters, I am clearly a